Welcome to Chapter 7, Part 2. We are going to be talking about indefinite loops, in other words, the use of while. So, when we have some situations, we don't always know exactly how many times a block of instructions should be repeated. All we know is that repetition is needed. So, for example, in a board game like chess or checkers, we don't know exactly how many moves it'll take, right? It depends on what the other person is doing. And so you got to set up a situation that will be evaluating this over and over again, and that's when we use indefinite repetition. So we can use one of two different mechanisms. You can use a while statement and recursion. Recursion we're going to talk about in the next chapter. This one is devoted to the while statement. And this is super useful for games, so you might want to start thinking about this for your own storyboard. So this is how it works. It is always asking, is this condition true? Is this condition true? Is this condition true? If the answer is yes, then it's going to do whatever you want it to do. This would be your method. And then it asks again, is the condition true? As soon as that answer is no, then you get out of that loop. And so you can see how it is a loop, in fact. And we talked about that. So what you need to do, if you're going to write a while statement, is you need to figure out what condition you're going to use. What's the condition that determines whether the loop will be repeated or not? So here's an example. In a lot of action films, you have an exciting chase scene, and in this one we do too. It's going to be a shark and a fleeing fish, and there's even a little bit of blood, believe it or not. So here's the problem. How do we get the shark to chase the goldfish in a chase-like action? We don't want the shark to immediately catch the goldfish, otherwise it would be a very boring movie. And the goldfish should appear to be fleeing. Okay, so how do we set that up? Well, here's the solution. The shark is going to swim a short distance towards the fish, and the fish will swim a short distance away from the shark. You want to make it exciting, so we're going to make it random. We're going to have a random amount of motion. We're going to have a while statement, and the idea is while the goldfish is still 0.5 meters away from the shark, you're going to repeat the actions. So fish will swim, shark will swim, and you say, are you still more than 0.5 meters away? And if the answer is yes, shark will swim, goldfish will swim. Are you still 0.5 meters away? You get the point. So here's the storyboard, and I basically just talked you through it. While the goldfish is more than 0.5 meters away from the shark, first the shark has to point at the goldfish. That's actually important. And then they are going to both swim together. As soon as the while loop ends, that's when the shark is going to eat the goldfish. Okay? So as soon as the while loop is end, that's when you have this next step. And so it's going to be dictated by the closeness of the goldfish to the shark. So check out. Okay, so here's our scene. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. There's the shark and there's the goldfish. Very exciting. They're not even pointing in the same direction. That's okay. It makes for a much more exciting movie. Watch what happens. You hit play. It turns and faces the goldfish. You can see them swimming, swimming, swimming. And the goldfish is going up and down. And I think you've played with this by this point. The random. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And that's it. You see the blood on the shark's mouth? It's kind of a nice touch. Okay, so world.chase is the deal. You don't see a while statement yet. Oops, sorry about that. You do right here. So while the goldfish, the distance in front of the shark is greater than 0.5, then this is what's going to happen. And the shark swim and the goldfish flee. This is where the random motion gets called. And you've done this before, right? Move up random motion, min-max, and then 0 and max. And remember that the reason for 0 right here is so that it doesn't go backwards, because that would be weird. Okay? So, and this is just the goldfish swimming. If you care, here's the shark swimming. Right? Not that exciting. What's more interesting is the while loop, and that's really the whole point. And so it's a Boolean condition, right? Is the goldfish distance more than 0.5? If so, do this. If not, then you eat the fish. So let's look at the rest of the PowerPoint. Okay, so as I said, while statements, they use the Boolean condition. It was asking, is it greater than 0.5? And we used some code from a previous program. Right? The flee method is using that random motion method that you had used before. And I think you used it with the goldfish even. All right. So how do we know that the shark will eventually catch the goldfish? Because you do want to set up a while loop that's going to work. Otherwise, the movie goes on and on and on and on and on, and that's no fun for anybody. Well, the deal was that the shark always moved 0.4 meters towards the goldfish, and the goldfish's motion was restricted by the min-max, and the min-max was less than 0.4. In fact, let's talk mathematically because it's just kind of fun. What's the max distance the goldfish can move? Well, we set it up to be 0.2, and if you look, this is a 3D problem, so this 0.35 is not the hypotenuse right here of the 0.2 and the 0.2. It is the resultant vector, hey, look at that physics, resultant vector of the three, 0.2, 0.2, and 0.2. I'll try to act it out in class because it's definitely hard to see on the screen, but think about it in the meantime. So anyway, the shark has this distance advantage, and it will eventually catch up. The loop will end. And a general rule of thumb is that you want to write the while loop so that the loop will eventually end. As we said, it makes it boring otherwise. So as you're changing the conditions, eventually this is going to become false, and when it gets false, it kicks out, and in this case, the shark ate the goldfish. If you never have your while loop end, it becomes an infinite while loop. And I guess that could be useful at some point. It sounds boring to me. Okay, that's it. Have a good night.